and every Jeeper has to have oversized tires so you can get 5 miles a gallon, have a death wobble, and have a shitty drive.
How's it going, guys? It's your boy Random Tall Guy. If you guys are new to the channel, do me a favor, drop a like, subscribe, welcome. I do want to apologize that it took me a while to post a new video. I believe the last video I posted was about I think like a month ago. I've been extremely busy and extremely stressed, and everything was just piling up, so I decided to put the camera down and just get a lot of things done. That being said, today's video, I'm just gonna do a overview on all the vehicles I bought, and also all the repairs I did, and also all the future repairs and projects I'm doing. Alright guys, so let's get started. I think the first thing you guys are noticing are these new set of wheels. So honestly, some guy was throwing these rims out. He wanted like 80 bucks, and it has like brand new tires on them. So I honestly just took them. I decided, oh, let's see if it fits on the Saturn, and honestly, it has the exact same bolt pattern, the exact same offset as the stock wheels. So I just left them on the Saturn, and honestly the clearance is perfect. I believe you can honestly lower the car and it would still fit perfectly fine. And of course the stock caliper was disgusting and rotted, so I decided to change them out. And of course I found these nice red ones that are powder coated for cheap. So that's one of the repairs I did right there, is change out the caliper. The second repair I did while off camera was the new CV axles on both sides. And while I was changing out the CV axles, I also decided to install some new sway bar end links on both ends. So we got new sway bar links on this side and also on the other side. And everything looks nice on both sides. Everything looks fine. Alright guys, and another repair I did to this vehicle was the clutch master cylinder. It's all the way down there. Basically it was leaking. Alright guys, we're gonna move over to the XJ now. Now the XJ has been the most reliable vehicle out of my fleet of other vehicles. Honestly, the only thing I replaced on this one recently was the power steering pump. If you take a look over here, this is the old power steering pump spindle. Basically, it detached from the actual pump and it caused the serpentine belt to stop spinning. Obviously, we managed to get the car in here before it overheated. So far, that's the only repair I honestly did on the XJ so far. I'm gonna go ahead and open up the hood. Alright guys, this is the solid bulletproof 4.0 liter Jeep Chrysler engine. As I mentioned, the only thing I replaced so far was the power steering pump. Honestly, the next thing to go or to replace is the actual gearbox for the power steering. Honestly, there's a lot of like dead movement when you turn the steering wheel, so we need to replace that gearbox soon. Other than that, the car has been reliable. I'm thinking of doing a coolant flush just because the coolant is becoming a little dirty. Other than that, everything else is working. There is a small refrigerant leak. But honestly, every time I charge this, the refrigerant lasts like the whole summer, so it's honestly a small leak. I'm not gonna be worried about that. Oil consumption and all that has been good. Transmission fluid has been good. I recently flushed that out. I think that was like last year, so it's fine. The shift's still good. Airbox filter's fine. The fuel injectors are fairly new. So far it's been good. There is a small leak coming from the thermostat housing, so I might have to take this off, put some RTV and put it back on, because this paper gasket always fails on me. Other than that, has been good. We're gonna take a look underneath real quick. So far, brake pads has been good. The lower and upper ball joints still look solid and dry. I might have to grease them up a little bit. This ball joint looks fine. The boot looks fine. That residue you see right there is from the coolant leaking from the thermostat housing. The steering stabilizer is still fairly new. I definitely need to replace these sway bar end links. If you take a look over there, there's a lot of gap in that bushing. Same thing with this side. The core spring is still solid. The shock is still solid. If you take a look, this is the axle that I painted I think like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and honestly, no rust has seeped through. Everything looks good. U-joint is not in the best shape, but it's not clunking or anything yet. so that's still good. Same thing on this side. For some reason, this one is rusted different. Maybe a lot of rust went on it, but it's still solid. U-joints still look solid. Once again, no clunking noise. The ball joints on this side is still good. Bottom ball joint, upper ball joint, the boot still looks dry and solid. I don't see any cracking yet. Everything looks fine. No speed wobbles. Honestly, it's been good. The top bushing over here for the upper control arm looks good. Eventually I might want to replace the upper control arm just because they're kind of rusty. Mostly this side though. The other side, I guess it got coated with oil before, so it's solid. Honestly, no oil leaks so far. It is dripping a little over here. It's like one drop every like 3 months from the rear main seal, which is common, which is fine. It's not affecting the oil level. So far the Jeep has been solid, nothing to complain about. I don't think it's just a mixture of oil and coolant from the thermostat housing. I'm not gonna worry about it too much. Engine mount is kind of cracking there, but it's still good. New alternator, so I did install a new alternator a while back, so that's fine. Everything else is good. As I mentioned, the gearbox, I'm gonna replace it later, just because it's too much play with the steering, so we're gonna replace that. Simple job, takes about 30 minutes. We did it to the blue XJ before I sold it. Honestly, it took about 30 minutes. I have all the tools. I got the Pitman arm puller and everything, so that should be good. All right, guys, that being said, you guys took a look at the Saturn, you took a look at the XJ. Now let me introduce the 2 new vehicles I'm gonna be adding to this channel. All right, guys, and this is the new vehicle I just bought. This is a 2008 Jeep Commander. Honestly, the car is in good condition. I got it for a cheap price. I was planning to buy another off-road vehicle, and I was debating either to buy a Jeep Commander or a Toyota FJ Cruiser. Now the FJ Cruiser, they're really pricey, but they do last forever. So I was kind of debating, should I really spend that much money, like 10 grand for a FJ Cruiser, or should I just get this really cheap Jeep Commander? I decided to get the Jeep Commander because honestly, this is a one owner car. The previous owner had this car since it had 8,000 miles on it, so he bought it brand spanking new, and he was the only owner, so that's the reason why I bought it. It has 180,000 miles, but honestly, it drives perfectly straight and true. There's a few rattle here and there, but honestly, that's nothing. I can fix that. The rust is minimal. There is a couple things that are rusty, but it's not as bad as other XJs and FJ Cruisers out there. So that's the reason why I bought it. The guy told me he just used it for like beaches and stuff like that, and honestly, I found a lot of sand everywhere in the vehicle, so I believe it. It was a sand vehicle, but honestly, the paint, everything looks pretty nice. If you take a look at it, there's 2 nasty key scratches here on the driver's side and the passenger side. I'm not sure how that became a thing, but I don't care. I'm gonna use it off-roading, and I'm also gonna use it as an overland vehicle, so it should be fine. As I mentioned, it has the Quadra Track 1 setup. It's not the greatest setup, but honestly, it's better than nothing. The vehicle drives like all-wheel drive until it starts slipping. Basically, when that happens, the computer will break. Would send braking power to the wheel that is spinning, causing the other wheel that has traction to start moving. Honestly, it's an okay setup. It's not the greatest, but it's okay. The one thing I don't like about the Jeep Commander is that the back is a solid axle while the front is a independent axle, which I don't like. I don't like the CV axle. Basically, a Jeep Commander is just a 2005 to 2010 Jeep Grand Cherokee. They use the exact same components for suspension, for everything. So that's the reason why I bought it. A lot of people don't like these Jeep Commanders. I honestly do. It, as my friend says it looks like a Hummer and a XJ had a baby and it came out with this. All right, as I mentioned, this is the sport model, so it came with a 3.7 liter V6. As I mentioned, the vehicle only had 1 owner, so that being said, they took care of the vehicle. And the reason why I know they took care of the vehicle is because when I went to change all the fluids, the differential, the back and the front was brand new. anytime you buy a used vehicle and you change out the differential fluid, it's always disgusting. It's always black. This one, the guy took care of his vehicle. The differential fluid was nice and yellow. It was still clear. So I changed the differential fluid, I changed the coolant, I changed the transfer case fluid. The only thing I didn't touch was the transmission fluid. I'm gonna do that later in the future. But that being said, the engine runs smooth, the transmission shifts smooth, everything works perfectly fine. There's no weird idling issues, there's no weird anything. No check engine light. I got it inspected with flying colors, everything works. I did change, however, the catalytic converter because basically it will give me the code. I think it was a P0420, which is the most annoying code ever. And also the exhaust was rattling a lot, so it turns out that the catalytic converter was clogged or whatever. I just went on Rock Auto and I picked up a new catalytic converter for about 300 bucks. I had my boy install it, which was another 300 bucks, which was 600 in total, which I don't care. The car runs perfect. The car looks perfect. I decided to go with it and I got the sticker. Everything works. As I mentioned, I changed the coolant because the previous owner had the green coolant. I don't like it. I like staying within like specs. So basically I swapped it out with the HOAT fluid, the G05 one, this one right here. Honestly, this is the best one for Chrysler. It's kind of expensive, but it's worth it. I did like five coolant flushes before I swapped over to that one. And then once I swapped over to that one, I flushed that one and then I put it again just to make sure that the ratio, the 50-50 ratio was fine. And so yeah, so far everything been fine. I might change the alternator later in the future just because it looks old. I just like having a fresh new alternator to make sure that I'm not gonna be stranded and that the battery is not gonna suffer or anything like that. Overall, really good. We're gonna go ahead and crawl under real quick. The frame is perfectly solid. It's nice and clean. I honestly went ahead and I sprayed it with rust reformer just to keep it that way. But before I sprayed it, yeah, there was no rust whatsoever. So I took advantage and I went ahead and sprayed it. Same thing with the pinch wells. It looks nice and clean, not many rusts. Everything looks fine. Cross member, of course, is rusty, which is fine. I can replace it later in the future, or I can leave it alone. Of course, the grounding strap for the transmission, one of the grounding straps for the transmission snapped, so I need to fix that. There is the new catalytic converter. It was a direct fit, a direct bolt-on, so it wasn't that hard to install. Overall, everything looks good. The front suspension looks good. The CV axles, boot is still solid. Everything looks fine there. Take a look. So basically, I have a new exhaust from the headers all the way back. New muffler, new everything on this side. All right, as I mentioned, the axle looks fairly new. Looks like they installed new inner tie rods. The other ones, it looks old still. I installed the new sway bar end links just because I noticed it was ugly. Overall, I think it's good. I might change out the struts later in the future just because they're completely rotted, but so far it's still good. The ball joint on the upper control arm is still good. The bottom one over there still looks fairly new. I might have to grease it up. I need a 90-degree greaser tip for that. Overall, everything's good. Now, the biggest pain in the ass about these vehicles is if you ever had to remove this bolt here, it loves to seize up inside this lower control arm. So that's it's gonna be a bitch to remove. But well, I believe I can knock it out with my air hammer. But other than that, everything looks good. No leaks. If you see all this stuff, this is just the oil from the oil filter. All right, guys, and I just want to show you the interior. Now, as I mentioned, the guy used this as a beach truck, so there's a lot of sand everywhere. The seats were completely ashy, so I went ahead and I cleaned it. I used a water extractor, and then I went ahead and used a steamer, and this is the best I could do with the seats. So far, no rips, no tears. It's just ashy looking because of all the sand. This is the aftermarket radio that I had on the Saturn. It has Apple CarPlay. I managed to install over here. It was not the greatest install because it was really annoying and there was a lot of stuff I need to move. So far, this is the best I can do. Honestly, I need to go back and adjust the radio. I need to tilt a little up because there's a gap here, and also the radio is kind of facing down. Overall, as I mentioned, no check engine light. It has a lot of mileage, 184,000, but honestly, the car drives it if it only had 100,000. All right, and these are the passenger seat. It's like a stadium seating, so it's basically it's higher than the front. Which is still pretty good. I got these awesome Quadratech laser fit floor mats on the front and the back. I decided to go with tan just because the car is too dark. And of course, this is the trunk. I have all my gear and stuff like that. This car did not come with the third row seating, which I kind of wanted, but it's fine. And of course, the seats still fold down if you just press this button. It folds just like that. Nice. I have access to everything. There's cup holders, there's a charger, cup holders on that side. Everything's nice. Another thing I did change out was the struts for the window. These are brand new struts, 10 bucks on Rock Auto. Went ahead and swapped them out on both sides. I greased them up, kind of stopped the rust. Those are good. And I also changed out the bigger struts, which are over here. Brand new struts on both sides because it was, of course, the tailgate was falling down. That's happens because they don't last that long. Overall, the paint, the body has no dents. It just has little scratches, a little peeling of paint. Overall, the vehicle looks perfect. It dries perfect. Now, I'm definitely gonna make a video on how I'm gonna restore these rims. The clear coat is peeling. Everything looks ugly. It looks like it has a skin condition, so I need to fix that. I'm gonna basically I'm gonna use a paint peeler to peel off any clear coat, and then I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna sand it down, and then I'm gonna repaint it. It should be an easy thing. There's not that much roll rash on it on all four, but every single rim is like that, so I'm gonna change it out. I did buy some other wheels. If you check down there, I have a set of WK's rims and tires, but I honestly is just gonna resell it because I'm just gonna I like these rims better and they fit perfect, so I'm not gonna mess around with the Grand Cherokee rims. I'm just gonna sell it. So that's the Grand Cherokee rims, and that over there is the spare XJ's Steelies. All right guys, the last vehicle I bought and the last vehicle I'm gonna add to the channel for now is this 2010 Jeep Patriot. Now I know what you guys are thinking. Why would you get a Jeep Patriot? Don't you know the CVT transmissions are bad in these cars and all that? Honestly, I got this for a great deal. It came with a warranty. It was fully serviced professionally, and the guy who was selling it, I knew him and all that. So I got this awesome car for a great price. And this one this vehicle is not gonna be my personal vehicle. This one is gonna be personally owned by my mom. Honestly, this car is good so far. It has 4 brand new tires, new rotors, new calipers, new sway bar end links, the works. It has new CV axles. Honestly, it got fully serviced. They did all the fluids as well. I checked personally. I checked the coolant. I checked the brake fluid. Everything's good. Now the only thing I changed so far in this vehicle was the transmission fluid. I went ahead and I changed it out. Of course, I used the OEM Mopar CVT F+4 fluid for the CVT transmission. These cars, for some reason, the transmissions are weak on these cars. They don't last that long. Now, there's mixed feelings because a lot of people think it has to do with just poor maintenance because it's a transmission where you have to change the fluid every so often, and a lot of people don't believe in changing transmission fluid at all. So it could be user error, or it could just be the transmission is bad from the factory. I went ahead and just changed it out. The fluid came out kind of black. It wasn't too bad, but I swapped it out. I might do it again in about 10,000 miles just to make sure it's nice and clean. I believe you're supposed to do it every 30,000 miles. But I had to double check on that. But overall, the car has been good. Take a look at the body panels, the body, the lines, everything's good. Of course, there's small little blemishes here and there. It's a 10-year-old car, so you're not gonna find, you know, a perfect car. Overall, the car has been good and solid. Of course, there's little blemishes here, little spots there. Not that much rust around the vehicle at all. Everything so far is good. Suspension, drivetrain, everything runs as it's supposed to. All right, and then this is the interior right here. Everything looks in order, nothing out of place, everything is working. AC works, heater works, radio works. Honestly, the car has a good amount of mileage, but so far it looks solid. As I mentioned, it came with a warranty and all that. That's the reason why I bought it for her. And of course, I do all the repairs myself, so she never have to worry about, you know, taking out $2,000 for repairs, because I do it all for free for her. Everything looks fine. Interior looks solid. All the button works, everything works. No rips, no tears. All right, as I mentioned, there's no rust whatsoever in this vehicle. From the body here, from these unibodies, everything looks solid. Exhaust looks solid. It looks like they replaced the resonator at one point. Brake lines down there are all plastic and coated, and I don't see any issues. Fuel tank looks like it took a beating. I guess it took it off-roading or something, but that's just the shield, and it looks fine. No evap leaks like detected. No check engine light. Same thing in the back. It looks solid. Nothing really fancy. These cars are really simple, so there's nothing too fancy to look at. So far, everything's been reliable. Transmission lines are fine. Everything looks good. If that transmission fails, I don't mind popping it out and slapping another one in. It saves me money if I do it myself. Overall, the car it's been good. I see these cars on the road like 1,000 times a day, so I think the reliability is pretty good. I don't know. Once again, I think the transmission issue has to do with user error. Not really the transmission is that bad. All right, guys. So I'm gonna end the video here. I don't want this video to be too long. At least now you guys are all caught up on all the vehicles and all the projects and all the stuff I've been doing off camera. So now the future videos I'm gonna be uploading, it's gonna be mostly on this Jeep Commander, just because I'm extremely excited to start working on this vehicle. And as always, there's a lot of stuff I need to repair first before I can start modifying it. Hopefully I keep this car and I can stop buying and selling for a while. I always say that, but you know how it is. Alright guys, so I'm gonna end the video here. Don't forget to share, like, and subscribe. And as always guys, stay safe, have a good one, and I'll see you on the next one. See ya. Bye bye.